Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints, here to discuss my team selection for Matchday 6 in UCL Fantasy. As always, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, my mini league is still open, link of that will be in the description below. And have a quick look at how things went for me in Matchday 5. We'll revisit the Champions League table as it stands. We'll look at the first draft I had of my Limitless chip in draft mode. And spoiler alert, I did activate my Limitless chip, and I'll discuss where I've landed on my latest draft. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Match day 5, in some ways, I kind of feel got a bit lucky. Haaland captaincy bailed me out. The transfer I did was Tillman in place of Rafinha, and a couple of late returns for Tillman helped massively elevate my score. And on this healthy trajectory, I'd say, of course, I've not scored 100 plus so far in a match day. And in comparison to FPL, I know that in UCL Fantasy, it's apparently meant to be a lot easier to score 100 plus with the stick and twist captaincy option. And of course, the option to sub in players between match days, and obviously wiping out one in which where a player scored very poorly in place of the upside of another one in the subsequent day. So yeah, on the whole, it wasn't a great match day. Vert's high owned player and got a double digit haul. Could I have captained him against Salzburg? I think perhaps I could have, but I went for a relatively safe pick with Haaland, and then with his 12 points, I just felt that I'll stick with him. Disappointment with Kane, Gyökeres, Jan, that was a big disappointment. Brought him in as a transfer, didn't even play. Annoyingly, clean sheet points lost there as well. So I think on the whole, fairly reasonable. I've said it in previous videos that I kind of feel match day 2 was a big letdown, huge letdown for me. And I'm basically 50 points off where I want to be. So looking for upside opportunities. And the Limitless chip is something I've talked about. I've done illustrations for. And I felt that for my own team as it stands, it was the best time to activate the chip. And I have evolved the draft since my initial attempt at doing an illustration, and I'll get into that. But just having a quick look at the table, and with the Limitless chip in mind, teams that I'd want to target. So Liverpool in particular, 5 out of 5, doing amazingly well in the Premier League as well as in Europe. Inter Milan, Barcelona, Dortmund. In this case, of course, Barca and Dortmund play each other, so could say, are they cancelling each other out? Who knows? Got Atalanta doing very well. Got Leverkusen, the likes of Arsenal, Monaco. I've already mentioned that there are other teams that it's really make or break for them, the likes of Bayern, Atletico, Man City. Really need to push Real Madrid, PSG. If they want to almost guarantee a top 8 spot, now is the time to get kicking. And in terms of teams that I'd want to target, you've got the likes of Girona, 1 win in their past 5. Got Red Star Belgrade, who did eventually win, and then beyond that, the likes of Salzburg, Bologna, Leipzig, Bratislava, Young Boys. They're there for the taking. They're not going to have any chance of really qualifying now in the final 8, and maybe they, in many respects, would want to concentrate on their domestic leagues in some of those instances. So I definitely would be focused on targeting them. And the draft that I had in mind, unfortunately, I've had to make changes and I've had to evolve. So I wasn't actually aware that Harry Kane was injured and he missed the previous match. And there is a big question mark on whether he's going to participate in match day 6. So he's one that I've basically taken out. And Rafinha, another player where I've got no doubt that he could potentially haul in his match, but it's Dortmund, so question marks on whether I should just look for a player that offers more upside. Mohamed Salah, Saka, Verts, they'll stay in my team. Pulisic, wasn't really aware that he actually is unavailable. He's injured, so I've got to take him out as well. Neuer, another one. So Fabrizio Romano was posting about that earlier today, that he's also unavailable. So I've taken him out of my draft as well. And just looking at the other players, Saliba, Kim, Hakimi, Hernandez, Alexander-Arnold remain. And yeah, Oblak is the Wednesday goalkeeper. So having factored all of that in, this is where I've landed with my team selection as things stand. I've been very careful not to say that it's my final team selection, although in many respects it is. It would really be a case of if we get any early leak on, let's say, the Liverpool match, or I say leak team news that Mohamed Salah isn't starting, then I'd almost certainly make changes accordingly. But with this team, I've got it set on dates first of all. So for the 10th of December matches, 4 midfielders, full set of defenders, goalkeeper and striker up top. And then I've got Alvarez and Griezmann for the 11th of December fixture in the starting 11. And then looking at the bench, Oblak, Saliba, Hernandez, Saka. So with Martinez in particular, he's not really been known for keeping clean sheets in the Premier League this season, but to his credit, kept one against Juventus, kept one, well, Club Brugge they lost, kept one against Bologna, kept one against Bayern Munich, and then Young Boys. So he has been picking up the clean sheets in fairness in the Champions League. So considering he's the first goalkeeper, if he was a second goalkeeper, I probably wouldn't have picked him. So Martinez for the Tuesday match and Oblak playing Bratislava. So I think that's fairly logical there. In the case of RB Leipzig, they've scored 4 goals in 5 games. So definitely worth having Martinez in as the goalkeeper for the Tuesday fixture. On to the defence. I think Alexander-Arnold, he's had some fitness issues of late. So if there is news that he doesn't start, fairly straightforward switch there. Get Van Dijk in his place. Hakimi, of course, there for the attacking prowess. And he's got the reasonable fixture against Salzburg as well. Make or break for PSG. And Kim, I was having second thoughts on whether to have a Bayern defender in after Neuer's injury, but I've just decided he's a Tuesday player, and if it doesn't go well with him, then I've got Hernandez and Saliba there to bail me out. And then onto the midfield. So Musiala, I believe he might potentially be a fitness doubt potentially as well, albeit he did play in the most recent match for Bayern Munich, and he's definitely showing some form of late. I definitely want some attacking Bayern cover for this fixture against Shakhtar Donetsk. So in some ways he is a differential. So in he comes. And then surprisingly, I have picked Bellingham in my team as well. Make or break fixture. Atalanta is a very difficult fixture. They're on an amazing winning run at the moment. So I didn't want to overload and get Mbappe and other players, Rudiger as well. It just wasn't worth the risk. And Bellingham, he really hasn't had his shooting boots on this season, but I kind of feel that with the way that injuries have affected Real Madrid, that he might be in, shall we say, more advanced roles and may have an opportunity to score as he did in his previous match. So, yeah, he's a bit of a risk. 19% owned. He's had much higher ownership last season at the same stage, but happy to take a punt on him. 10th of December player. Florian Wirtz against Inter. Of course, Inter have been very formidable in the Champions League this season. So I kind of feel with him, yeah, there is one player I'm going to keep from my original lineup. It has to be him. Just loves a double-digit haul. Has had 3 in the past 5 UCL Fantasy games. And then got Mohamed Salah. Haven't had him at all in UCL Fantasy this season. And his FPL form has been absolutely sensational. And yeah, it's not been fully reflected in the Champions League, but I'm happy to go for him as Liverpool look to solidify their place in that next stage of the Champions League. Got Gyökeres, Alvarez, and Griezmann. So I've really gone differential with Alvarez in particular, less than 10% owned, and Griezmann. I'm basically targeting that fixture they've got against Bratislava. And in the case of Bratislava, they really have been conceding goals, most goals conceded out of any of the other teams in the Champions League, and Atletico Madrid 15th. So if they're not going to kick on now, when are they going to kick on? So yeah, speculative, risky, but I'm happy to go for it. I could have gone for Haaland, could have gone for many others, and then Gyökeres Tuesday, captain against Bruges. Happy to go for him based on his sensational form this season. One thing I do want to really qualify here, that I'm mindful that some of these players aren't super expensive, haven't got that many players that are 10 million plus. I've kind of flipped it, and I'm basically treating the Limitless chip almost like a free hit chip, as you would in FPL. And yeah, there might have been other match days where the value would have been higher. I'm more focused on targeting the fixtures in this match day, and yeah, ordinarily some of these players I wouldn't pick in other match days. I wouldn't have double Alvarez and Griezmann for sure. Wouldn't risk on Bellingham with the form he's been in this season. Yeah, perhaps Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah, go-to picks otherwise. But I kind of feel that with this Limitless chip draft, I'm treating it more as a free hit. And I have looked at match day 7, match day 8. They're in Jan. I want to use it now before teams get bogged down by other matches, and in the event that there's basically no hope. Well, not no hope, but they're basically all but set, let's say, in the final stages, and they're willing to rotate players more. I kind of feel that match day 6, from my estimation, it's probably one of the last match days before heavy rotation would begin in this league phase. So I'm happy to take the risks that I've outlined there. And yeah, in the event that 4 of my players fail massively, Saka, very good alternate player. Hernandez, again, with AC Milan, they've been on some great form of late. Good fixture. Just gutted Pulisic is unavailable, but Hernandez at least offers some defensive cover. With Minan, decide not to go for the double up. And then Oblak, I just feel that happy to rely on him instead. And then, yes, Saliba is the other defensive option available. And we'll see how it goes. But I kind of feel that with this team, it's very different to how I would have set up my team ordinarily. And the takeaways here are I'm using Limitless chip more as a free hit chip, targeting the weaker teams with the players that, okay, some of these players may not be in super red hot form, but it's really must win time for a lot of these teams that I've focused on. And I've got a fair few differentials in here as well. But then the peace of mind is I've got players to bail me out who are high owned and have got good fixtures as well. And yeah, you might think you're in a super good position. You could probably wait till match day 7, match day 8 until you use your Limitless chip. You might have already used it for all I know. But I kind of feel that with my team as it is placed right now and the upside that is available, that it makes perfect sense. And yeah, there you have it. Like I've said, I reserve the right to still make minor tweaks. Like I've said, get some last minute news, flip out a player here and there if they're not going to start. But on the whole, fairly content, and let's hope for the best. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Have I got the balance right? Have I got the balance wrong? Are you using the Limitless chip? Are you doing something completely radically different? And as always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best.